Ja, okej. Ja, okej. Okej, ja, men då kör vi igång. And actually, we're going to switch to English for all of the participants who are listening online. Well, first of all, good morning to all of you that are joining us here or online. My name is Simon Härenstam, or just Simon. I work for ICLD, the Swedish International Center for Local Democracy. And today we're going to have a topic with this seminar regarding municipal partnership during wartime. And we're going to hear how Beryslav Municipality and Region Gotland are working together and the challenges they have and how they are coping with it and developing and strengthening their partnership. And as we are speaking English, I just want to explain that it's because we have Ukrainian participants as well, so speaking English. There is a possibility for interpreters that can interpret from English to Ukrainian if we need to. And the participants will, of course, tell you more about their municipality and the partnership later, but I would just shortly say that, well, Beryslav has endured both a Russian occupation and severe bombing almost daily for many years now. And despite this horrible situation, you are growing your partnership. And I would say that your partnership is far from ordinary. You have a strong commitment, strong engagement, and you're working together to support and strengthening your municipalities. And you will have the option to tell more about that later. But first, just let me introduce the participants. We have from Beryslav, we have we are used to call you mayor, but you are the chief of the military administration in Beryslav municipality, Alexander Alchiev. From Region Gotland, from the political side, we have Johan Malmros. You are the leader of the opposition, you are the leader of the Center Party, and you are a member of the steering group for this project. And from Sofia Hoas, from Gammalsvenskby as well, or that organization. You have a long-time commitment for this cause and the cooperation with the Beryslav municipality. You also have a personal ties to Gammalsvenskby, and I would say are a strong engagement for the cause of supporting Ukraine. And also from Region Gotland, we have Anat Glover, who is the project leader and the coordinator for this project. So we have both the Ukrainian municipalities, the political side, and from the civil servant side as well. Well, it's difficult, but just have this one. But to give you a hint of the project they are working with and the challenges they have, we are going to start with a short presentation from Region Gotland to highlight the situation now, of course, with the partnership, what you're working with, and the challenges you have. And hopefully the technology is with us, so we're just going to see in a couple of minutes if we can have a presentation, and if we do have a presentation on it, the floor is yours. And please go ahead as soon as the technology is with us. Yeah.
Hello. Hello. Okay. Yeah, let me start with a short background on our cooperation with Beryslav. Here on the map, you can you see the map? Yeah, okay. So it's quite a big distance between Gotland and Ukraine, or Beryslav, I should say, because it's in the southern part. Zmiivka, that we started cooperating with, is an old Swedish village. It was founded by Swedes in 1782. And in 1929, many people that lived there had the opportunity to return to Sweden, and 500 of them settled here on Gotland. That's why we have a big, long-standing ties with this Zmiivka, Gammalsvenskby. And also later on, 250 of them that settled here on Gotland returned to Zmiivka. That's why the Swedish culture stayed in the village, and many people spoke Swedish. We became, Region Gotland is also a municipality. We became twin cities with Zmiivka, Gammalsvenskby, in 2001. And in 2014, we had the opportunity to start a project so-called municipal partnership with funding from ICLD. And the main things that we worked on is, like all projects with ICLD, is local democracy. And then we chose 2 topics, and one is agriculture, and one was culture, heritage, tourism. And we had this, it was a 3-year project that ended in 2019. And we had several exchange visits between Zmiivka and Gotland. And we had quite a good result from the agriculture. We were discussing new grödor. New things to grow that they could make more money at, and so on. So that was very successful. And we also started this, simultaneously we had this culture, heritage, tourism part. And we had study visits with Gotland's museum and the peer learning. I don't know if you want to say something specific about that. Oh, okay, yeah. Maybe Sofia can say something about the result.
Yes, I was the project leader of this. I'm working at the Gotland Museum as well, and we are also having a lot of cultural heritage tourism Gotland. So it was very good with the exchange. So the results was that the Zmiivka got more cooperative down there, and they understood that they had to take care of this cultural heritage, and that it would be important for the tourism in the future to take care of the old culture heritage. And now it's also useful for the future reconstruction of the village. So in 2020 we were planning for opening a new museum down there about the old Swedish village history, because the citizens themselves wanted it. But then the COVID came, and then the war. So we will still build a museum.
And then, like you all know, in 2022, the invasion took place, and we had to change over to aid work. We had the new project that was going to start with different topics, but it was cancelled due to the war. And we instead switched over to pure aid work. And it turned out to be pretty effective. We had a coordinator that was employed by Region Gotland that took care of all the cooperation with Beryslav and to get all the aid work in place. And also we cooperated with NGOs. What we learned? Well, we learned that it's really important to cooperate with NGOs, because the whole society need to be involved if you're going to get any good results, and if it's gonna work out. And lots of people have worked voluntarily without pay tirelessly to help Ukraine. And the impact of this is we have a really good understanding now about the life that they live in Ukraine, in Beryslav. And we have, personal connections with the residents there. And they have learned a lot about us. Several of them have visited us throughout the years. And this is truly a grassroots perspective. And of course, our biggest challenge is the war, which made it impossible for us to visit now. It's been several years since we were there. And we have had some problems with the language barriers. But we're working on it, and they're getting really good in English now. And now recently we were funded for a new project from ICLD that's going to start in September. And our main focus is we're going to have some plans. How do we get young people to return to the village and to the municipality after the war? And we have similar problems here on Gotland. Many young people leave early when they go to university or they work on the mainland, and we like people to come back if possible. We want to find out what is missing for people to come back and live here on the island. And this is done through a citizen dialogue, and we're going to do some surveys as well, both in Beryslav and here on Gotland. And that's the last of the presentation. I don't know if you have any questions right now or if we should move on.
Well, we can see if we have time for questions later on. Thank you very much for that presentation. As we said, the title for this seminar is Municipal Partnership and Partnership During Wartime. And for that reason, I would like to start with a question to each one of you regarding, the audience here, and if there are municipalities that are interested in starting cooperating. What is one thing you want the audience to take with them from this seminar? One feeling or knowledge or intent, So what is one thing you would like the audience to take with them after this seminar, before we dive deeper into the other questions?
Yeah, I can start then. One thing that people can take with them is that it's possible to have this type of partnership even in a difficult time like now when it's a wartime. So that's my thing.
Yes, and it's very important to do this even in wartime. And the cooperation between the municipalities and NGOs I think that's the most important thing.
One thing I would like to point out is that you might think that Ukraine have a lot of things to learn from us, but actually we have probably more to learn from Ukraine, how it is to remain a democracy during war times, how you build your resilience, and how to be prepared. So that's one thing I would like to point out that is very important in this kind of projects.
Okay, one thing, it's Annette says that distance between Beryslav, Zmiivka and Gotland is very long, but I think our relationships and partnerships make this distance so short, and we made many good projects together, I think.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now, I know you mentioned during the presentation a bit about how you get start of this partnership, but I was just wondering if you, Sofia, could add a bit about the beginning of the partnership and also the connection between Gammalsvenskby and Beryslav and Gotland, so the audience will have a clear picture regarding that connection.
Yes, we have a long relationship since 1782, when the Swedish people grounded the village. But since 1991, when Zmiivka got free again and Ukraine was independent again, we have kept the relations between between Gotland and Zmiivka very, very close. So we have friendships there since that, and not just friendships, also relationships. My grandfather and grandmother came from Zmiivka in 1929, fled from Stalin then. So the relations has been very strong since all times, but especially since 1991. In 2001, Region Gotland became a twin city with Zmiivka due to the relationships between Gotland and Zmiivka. And in 2014, we felt that we just didn't want to make aid work. We wanted to develop the future and to work together with Zmiivka and the people there. So then we asked ICLD for money for make a democracy project and see what we could do and do more exchange, and not just aid work from Sweden to Zmiivka, to have to speak to each other and to develop the municipality in Zmiivka. So we started out in 2014.
And you have a long and impressive history regarding the cooperation. And you also mentioned a lot of the challenges you can see in the cooperation during wartime. And I would like to just hang on to that question also as well, because I mean, there are of course a lot of challenges during wartime. But if you would like to point out the most challenging thing, I mean, of course, there are a lot of challenges. I mean, you have military administration, you have the war, you have different form of communication. There are a lot of different questions regarding the challenges now. But if you would like to highlight one thing that is a challenge regarding cooperation during wartime, it could be...
Yeah, it's one obvious challenge. It's the biggest. It's that we can't visit now.
Yeah. And Alexander, from your point of view, from Beryslav point of view, what is the biggest challenge regarding the cooperation with the Swedish municipality during wartime? Yeah.
Maybe it's a different situation from Gotland and Beryslav Municipality, because young people live in Gotland in one thing, and people leave our municipality because Russians killing every day. So it's a problem from future projects for us, because it's a different situation by Sweden and by Ukraine.
Yeah, I can go further into what Annette said about that we can't visit. It creates some kind of gap, because it's actually very hard for us, for me at least, to understand what the situation is. I can look at pictures and videos and I can talk to you, but it's hard to understand what the situation for you is in reality. And I think that creates a little bit of gap in this project that we can't really understand.
And regarding that kind of support and that kind of cooperation, from your point of view, what kind of support is the most critical for Beryslav right now? I mean, what is still needed and what is most needed in the international support to Beryslav municipality? Alexander, if you would like to start regarding...
It's for support to civilian.
Yeah, both to the municipality, to the civilians. What is the most needed support from your perspective?
Oh, Sofia, no.
Well, you can start and then Sofia can add.
It's cars. We lost a lot of cars. Russian damaged and destroyed our cars. We have many problems if bring humanitarian to Beryslav and Zmiivka, and it's a main problem in this time maybe.
And Sofia?
Yes, and most is emergency work for the humanitarian work. So we have now a fire brigade down in not in Zmiivka because it's totally outbound, but in another city nearby. So we sent two fire trucks and the fire brigade, so they are also getting jobs in the fire brigade. But then it's also the supporting in another way, not just the emergency work. It's much about the support that we are here. We are helping. We support you. We support the civilians. We support every person down there, not just the municipality. We will not forget them, and we will go on with our work. I think that's the most important, the psychological aspect of it. But also the ordinary things like echo flows and cars, things like that, of course.
And so, well, of course, as you mentioned, you are part of the ICLD program. ICLD is focusing on strengthening local democracy and human rights. That could be a real challenge during wartime to combine these efforts. But if we start with that aspect, regarding the citizens of Beryslav Municipality and Region Gotland, how do people look, the citizen, how do the people react, or what kind of support do you feel from the citizen, and how are they involved in the project in both Gotland and Beryslav? It could be tricky to answer, but what kind of response do you get from the citizens in your municipalities regarding this cooperation?
We can see that the people on Gotland, the citizens of Gotland, are very supportive, and they want to know what's happening, and they want to help, and they are very supportive. And not just in Gotland, now it's all of Sweden. Gammalsvenskby has been a little bit of a symbol to see the humans living in a village. So it's not just the bombs on TV; it's also humans there, and they are so. The Gotlandic and Swedish people are very supportive and are giving money, but also the support because it's important to do something.
And Johan, from the political side,
Yeah, I think first of all it's worth pointing out that Gammalsvenskby is actually our only twin city that we have. So when the war broke out and when it got worse and worse, I think we sensed a duty to help in any way we could, and I think this is a very high priority for all political parties here on Gotland. We are very united in this, and I also sense when I talk to people on Gotland that it's very high on their priority list as well, because if they feel the connection and they have a pride in helping out as much as they can.
and Alexander, from your point of view, I mean, there is a real challenge in Beryslav, of course, with during wartime to engage with the citizen. But in your project, you have a lot of focusing on getting the youth back to Beryslav, rebuilding Beryslav community. And what kind of support or response do you get from the citizen of Beryslav, even during wartime?
We have many citizens who live our municipality, so it's citizens nothing know about situation now in our municipality, but we trying to engage citizens to projects to strategic. Develop strategic documents like rebuild Hromada, like return to young people. Different meaning for people, but most it's a good idea and bring new idea to documents we develop.
Well, thank you very much. And what do you want to add, Sofia?
I just want to add that Beryslav is very good in social media to keep their the dialogue open with their citizens. So that is really something that we have to learn from.
And I mean, as you mentioned, you have a project now. You're focusing on rebuilding, getting the youth back to Beryslav, and also, of course, to Gotland. If you are looking ahead, what kind of goals do you see for your project? I mean, what kind of the next step in your partnership, the next goals in your partnership? If you are looking ahead, what do you see in front of you? Maybe Johan, do you want to start from the political point of view? Maybe?
But I think if we look ahead of time, hopefully this war will end. Better tomorrow, but probably not. But someday it will. And I think the most important then will actually be to help Ukraine prepare for entering EU, for example, because that's one goal I think we share, that Ukraine will get closer to all European countries in some way, and that is something that we can help with.
And Alexander, from your point of view, what would you like to be the next step for your cooperation, or the next goals for your cooperation with Region Gotland?
We spoke about this in Umeå with Annette and Sofia. I think it's next step. It's a project to totally rebuild Zmiivka, Gammalsvenskby, because it's 100% damaged houses and civilian buildings, and we can make a project who simple and project which people in Europe can see that we will be rebuilt as Zmiivka.
And Sofia?
Yes, and one goal is also to build future hope, because when we are planning for making the Beryslav and Zmiivka to rebuild it, you give hope that it will happen. Someday there will be a victory and we will rebuild the village. So the future hope, I think, is the most important goal, of course.
Yeah, and one thing that we can do is to help them to apply for funding that can be used for investments after the war. That's an important thing.
Well, and now you have been working, as you said, for many years. And if we zoom out a bit and use your experience regarding the cooperation and think about what others can learn from your experience, your knowledge, and your expertise in this area regarding the partnership and supporting Ukraine. If we're turning to the audience now, what key insight or what steps regarding to start the cooperation and start moving to working together with the Ukrainian municipality would you like to give them as advice? So if there are a municipality listening and they are interested to start working with the Ukrainian one, what kind of advice would you give them, and what is the first step they need to take care of when they are starting to engage in a municipal partnership? Are you one going to start from the political side, maybe? Yeah, okay.
I think it's important that the municipalities on both sides, both Beryslav and Gotland and other municipalities in Sweden, that it's important in wartime or in bad times that you need to work with NGOs and to engage the people, the grassroots perspective. And it's very important to speak to each other, and we have so much to learn from Ukraine, especially now when they are in war, and we also have to be prepared. And then the friendship is as astonishing. It's the Ukrainians are so nice and is so professional to work with.
And from the political point of view, regarding when you're starting a cooperation, what would you give them for advice for other politicians in other municipalities?
Yeah, I think one thing you need to think about before you enter a cooperation is, what do you want out of it as a municipality? What problems do we have that Ukraine can, or this project can help us to solve? For example, here in Gotland we have the same problem with, but not the same volume, of course, but with the young people moving out and not moving back again. So that's something you need to take into the project.
And Alexander, from your point of view, from Berislav's point of view, what kind of advice would you give other municipalities, both Ukrainian and Swedish, regarding if they want to go from the first contact to full collaboration? What do they need to know?
I think it's first step. It's projects like ICLD projects. Many Ukrainian municipality and Sweden municipality make up together projects, and like we doing this. It's step by step projects doing, and it's develop partnerships. I think.
And if you continue with that, what makes a good partner for Beryslav municipality? What stands out? I mean, now you have been working with Gotland for a long time, but from the Ukrainian perspective, what makes a good partner from a Swedish municipality? What kind of efforts or insights, or what do you need to have a good collaboration? What kind of support do you need from the Swedish municipality?
Gotland is a good partner.
Yeah, they are. But what is specific regarding that? What stands out as a good partner when they are
We
regarding?
feel support. Support it's from our people. It's very good, and we spoke, and we can say from our problems, and our problems here is there in Gotland, and it's very important for us because it's we have many problems during war, many, and it's a lot of high problems, and we're here each other, and maybe it's a main point for us. Yeah, I think.
Good. And Johan, if we go back to the advice to other politicians, how has the discussion been going regarding majority and opposition in Gotland, Region Gotland? Has there been any discussion regarding this, or is there any advice regarding how you anchor the project on the political side, how you manage to have both the majority and the opposition on board in the project? If you would like to elaborate a bit about that.
Yeah, I think actually here in Gotland, because we have this history, it was never a problem because this was already high on everybody's priority. But I would say one thing that is important is that you, in a very early stage, talk to the opposition, of course, because that is always good, no matter what you're going to do. When you're taking big steps like this, you need to involve the opposition. But we were involved from the beginning of this, so it was never a problem. Mm.
Is it the same view from the civil servant side, Annette?
Yeah, it's more or less the same. Sometimes they say we don't have enough people, we don't have enough resources, but we can always make it happen. They know it's important, and they know the history, and nobody wants to say, no, we can't help Beryslav, we can't help Ukraine. That wouldn't be okay.
No, I agree. It's a strong support for the partnership, strong support for Ukraine. I mean, there are also, of course, a strong support from the Swedish government regarding to support Ukraine, the Ukrainian municipalities, and as much as we can from all point of view. We just have a couple of more minutes left. Before we have the final remarks, I just want to ask you if you have anything you would like to highlight that we have missed during this seminar that you would like, the listeners, other municipalities, NGOs, or government to hear. Is there anything you would like to add before we wrap up? Annette?
Yeah, I want to add that ICLD has a network that is called the what's it called?
Democratic Resilience Network.
Exactly. Yeah. And that has made it possible for us to meet even though we can't travel to Beryslav. And that's been very important for our project.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we'll try to coordinate as much as possible to make the best effort with all the municipalities joining. And Sofia?
Yeah, and it's all about relations, and to meet often, especially now, is very important. Then we can work hard in between the meetings, so it's very important with the relations.
Yeah, I can also add that this network is very important. If you can't travel to Ukraine, at least you can meet a lot of people from Ukraine from other projects, and that has been very important to get the feeling for the situation in the whole country. Mm.
And Alexander, is there anything we have missed during this session that you would like to add regarding the support for Ukraine or the support with collaboration with municipalities?
I find about your questions. I find in this area many new friends, new organizations who make a support to our municipality. And thank you for this possibility for meet new projects.
Well, thank you very much. We have, you are a very good example of the municipal partnership. You're a very good example of how to support each other and make a mutual partnership that is beneficial for both Swedish and Ukrainian municipalities. And it's also interesting to see that the project with local democracy doesn't stop during wartime. It actually adapts. It makes stronger resilience. it can make stronger municipalities, and it can actually make an impact regarding to build bridges between the municipalities and increase the participation of the citizen. And I think you're a really good example of that we would like to highlight. And with that, I would like to say thank you very much for joining us. I think if they have any questions, or if there are any questions, they can reach out to you after the seminar as well. And thank you for joining us in Almedalsveckan. It's a great honor that you are here on Gotland, despite all the challenges in Beryslav and Ukraine. And with that said, thank you very much, and have a great remainder of the week here on Gotland. Thank you.
I would also like to thank you, and I'd like to invite everybody to our exhibition over here, the photo exhibition.